Howdy, everybody. Welcome back to Jailbait and Tackle Outdoors. Uh, I was just uh, thinking about something, reminiscing, or whatever you want to call it, and I kind of want to talk food plots. I don't know if this is the proper terminology. That's what I remember calling it. Um, but it seems like so many people are like trying to get into homestead community, into the farming, and they may not have experience. So I wanted to throw out an idea or find out if anybody is doing anything like this in your community. Maybe it could be in a urban area or inner city area. I don't know. But I'll never forget. I have a real nice cousin. Her name is Noelle, and I haven't talked to her for a long time. Just some family dynamics there, but really, we always got along very well. She was closer to my brother's age, about 3 years older than me, and when she got married to her husband, they lived in a small apartment complex, and uh, you really couldn't have a garden. But the Bellevue State Park was not that far away. So they had a program. I really don't know if it's still in existence or not, but I thought this was a really cool concept. And I always wondered if homesteaders could profit from this or not only profit, but make it like an educational experience. So I'm going to share the thoughts on that. So at Bellevue State Park, Noel would they had these like hand well pumps, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time. I was a youngster back then, and I say youngster. She was 3 years older, and I was probably a young adult, maybe. But anyway, so you could rent a I forget what the plot sizes were, like 10 by 10 or 12 by 10 at the Bellevue State Park, and you could just basically what you would do is you grow your own vegetables, and it was really well organized. They had a lot of protection from the outside critters of the world and stuff like that. And then I don't remember. I remember there being multiple. I'm going to say I'm just going to throw out a number, like 20, maybe 20 of these plots, whatever. And once again, I have no idea what they charged for, $50 a month, or I don't know what it was, but whatever it was a pretty cool concept for apartment dwellers to uh, be able to, like, you know, utilize their skills in growing, whatever produce they wanted to grow. So it was interesting. I remember Noel talking about this, and what a lot of people would do would be like, once people got to know each other, and it kind of became like a little bit of a tradition. Noelle and her husband Rick went on to be very successful, so they were able to move to a house and they could do their own garden. They didn't always live in an apartment, but I think this pertains to a lot of the channels I watch, and could be a source of revenue for some of those people that I watch. Um, so, like I said, there might have been, I don't know, 20 of these 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 plots, whatever it was. So some people would plant, green beans, tomatoes, peppers, and then, so what I found out through her was a lot of people would do a little bit of bartering, like, hey, like I have squash, you want to, swap some squash for, some of those tomatoes, or what have you, different little bartering. So it's kind of cool because everybody could be like an expert at one particular type, their little plot, so to speak, and then they could barter or swap and share with people. So I think that is a really cool concept. Um, I watch. I haven't. I have to admit, I'm not going to lie. I haven't watched a whole lot lately. But uh, what's it called? The Rhodes Family Homestead. Justin Rhodes. He does a lot of cool things, and he's very big on education. Farming, and I'm pretty sure it's called the, I don't know. So anybody knows anything about YouTube knows Justin Rhodes. He's doing great things on YouTube. So so I just wondered, like, when these people have, let's say, 60 acres, 100 acres, or whatever, is there a way to for some of those people to gain like additional income and possibly educate people? I know a lot of people like their privacy; they don't want a whole bunch of strangers. But let's say you do it through, I don't know, hypothetically, like through a church, and the church knows these people need some assistance or whatever. Maybe you can educate them how to raise their own produce, tomatoes, peppers, onions, carrots, something like that. So that's my thought. My concept for the day is what are your thoughts on that? What dimensions of a plot would you say were? Now I think about it, after seeing all these videos, I always watch about planting and gardening, and now I think about they're usually rectangular, based on the you know how you can reach in with the borders. So they're usually like raised beds. So that makes more sense to me. So let's say we're not talking a 10 by 10, but we're talking, maybe two 5 by 10s plots that you would have on one side. Like I always heard years ago that it's not good to grow peppers and tomatoes side by side. Something with like the green peppers kind of like stunts the growth of the tomatoes. There has to be a certain distance. If I remember, it was like 30 inches or 36 inches, what have you. So I've always tried to keep that in mind when I did my container planting the last couple of years. So that's basically why I thought about this. I'm like really, it's the last day of January. It's really sunny. You can see here. We're probably, the only chance of cold weather. Maybe another 3 or 4 weeks we could have get a little cold spell down here. But this is when people are starting to get energized in Southwest Florida about planting and doing vegetables, and I've been very very excited about this time of year every year. Unfortunately, with the hurricane, my life has changed. I'm living with my mother right now, so it doesn't really, it's not suitable for that. So it started making me think about these. I guess you would call it a rental food plot, if that's the proper terminology, whatever. But you know, one, somebody who is really dedicated, not only to make it like a food plot education like thing, like you could do so many things. Like anybody's watched any of my walking tours of different parks or what have you. You see these little placards of like these are the birds of this this pond or whatever, and this is these are the whatever all the different critters around. You could do like educational placards on that plot, maybe like an informational thing like how Roma tomatoes best thrive, or something like that. But have a little placard, maybe like periodically through representing different parts of that little you know community garden. I guess community garden would be a cool way to call it. But I'm thinking something like that. And then obviously, you have some benches. There could be some elderly people that maybe are in it like an assisted living home or just need more care that would need to sit down. But I think it could be a really cool thing. I would love to hear the concept, maybe be shared or talked about. I love the homesteading community. I'm not a homesteader right now. I'm pretty much like a homeless dude, but I'm working through it. But I just miss all the gardening, the things I can do. It's funny when I prepare, really well. The big planter containers I had, I would make sure it was a real good mixture of like compost and manure. Then I would add some eggshells and uh, coffee grinds and just try and get a real good mixture of all different types of nutrients. But it would be really cool for, um, you know, my brain's all over the place with thinking about it. So I'm talking about this, but like, wouldn't it be cool if you did, I say you, a person in general, maybe like an assisted living home could do a tour on something like that, a concept like that. Maybe the assisted living home could have, maybe they would buy or lease those certain amount of lots. I'm not saying the whole quantity, but let's say, it's like an experiment. I know a lot of those, some people call them nursing homes. Apparently, that may not be a correct term, assisted living, whatever. But they always try and find activities for these seniors to keep their brain working and functioning, and it's really good when you can get them out on like a, I know down here in this area, like usually a lot of the senior citizens from the homes, they will grocery shop on Wednesdays, and that's like a big event for them because, they're not just confined to a small living quarter. They can get out and see the real world and deal with it. So that's kind of one of the things I'm thinking about. I would really love for people to share their thoughts. Often I do ask people to share their thoughts. I don't get a whole lot of sharing of thoughts, but I'm really asking my friends in the homestead community to uh, share their thoughts. If they can expand on it or want to expand on it or have thoughts on that, how can it be done? Would a person be, this is like me just thinking all kinds of different avenues. You know, if somebody was very fortunate to have like a large farm or homestead, maybe, I don't know, like 100 acres, whatever, I'm making something up here, you know, would, would they be willing to, donate like an acre, maybe by the road that's like protected, so it prevent, thievery from the roadside, but people wouldn't really have to infringe on their main property where they have to worry about trespassers. Those are some of the preliminary thoughts I had on that. It would be really cool. My dream is to give back to people, and I very rarely played Powerball or Mega Millions. I did try a while back when it was $1.35 billion, and I did not hit one number. But anyway, so those are some of the things I would love to do if I hit the big lottery. It'd be cool to have little. I know some inner city places they'll do that. Like say there's a like an old like what do you call those vertical buildings, and it's like an apartment thing, but it's more vertical. It's not like ranch style like everything down here. Sometimes when those get leveled or something like that, sometimes the inner city people will do like little food plots and encourage like nature education and just try, it's very educational for the youth, not only the, people of all ages, but, I just want to throw that feel or that concept out there. And, I would love to do something like that. I know my lifespan is I'm on the clock. I'm on the downslope, you could say. So I just sit here looking at this bright sun, reminding me, man, this is the time of year I'd be doing, definitely multi types of tomatoes and different types of peppers. I would do red and green peppers, and usually I try to have about 8 plants in these plastic container plants, and then I would drill a hole in them because they never had a like a drainage system set up in those. So I would drain a hole because down here at times you can get a lot of rain. Then I would get these by the fence line. Picture like a rectangular, you know, area with wooden fence on different sides. So what I would do is I'd go to Walmart and get those 4x6 uh, pop-up canopies people would use for like sporting events or something like that. then I would anchor them in the ground, make sure they're real secure because some certain times of year it's okay to grow plants down here. Then certain times it gets really hot, so you kind of have to keep them shaded. So sometimes Florida's not the most ideal place for if you can't if you're working 10 or 11 hours a day, it's really hard to devote your time to make sure you water them in the morning, in the evening, make sure the shade's right, all this stuff. So it can get difficult. And if it gets really windy, then you have to, collapse the canopy. So those types of things are, something that would be considered. But pretty much like when I lived, I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware, the weather wasn't too vicious. There naturally you always get those bad thunderstorms, but it wasn't like the South. If I had to guess, I would say the perfect place to do some type of food. I'm just guessing off the top of my head, maybe like Georgia. Georgia would probably be a pretty good place. I don't know, but these are some of my thoughts. Anyway, folks, I just wanted to touch base with you guys, say hello, and I want to talk to you guys again in the future. Hopefully, when the sun is not just blinding me here. Peace out, folks. Remember, always help somebody when you can, and remember, always know your legal limits. Peace.